Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. It's June 8th, Monday. I'm your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day. We're starting the week out right with our fat, furry friend, the handsome homie himself, Jeff, old Jeffy Poo. He's a sweet fella. For those who like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday, or if you just like seeing the kitty of the day, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. That way you can see when we're live and we're dropping new videos. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day. I'm alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a good one. Let me know how that audio is coming over on your end. It's coming over a little hot. Okay, there we go. There it is. I don't have it adjusted on the right volume. Give me 1 second. Sorry. So I'm not screaming at you people. Here we go. I don't know why. It's been jacking up the audio every now and then, just sneaking up on me when I plug it in. Usually it sticks to whatever the previous setting is, but sometimes it'll just change on its own. So my bad. Sorry about that. But hope you guys are having a good morning. We're started off right with a nice, firm dump. Nice kind of audio check from you guys. Appreciate it. We have plenty to go through starting off today with our icebreaker content today. Becoming a titled segment, becoming Hunter Biden Reinvented. We're going to be a little bit silly with it. I could totally see this being a segment later on. We may refocus it from a different angle. But for today, having a little bit of fun with it, looking at the reinvention of Hunter Biden, which has been a bizarre thing happening. Then we will get into the foreign policy coverage of the show, our foreign policy roundup, the world of war, what's going on there. There's plenty going on there. Things have kicked back up. The dust storm is a swirling over there in the sandbox. Then we will get into the second titled segment of the day, Epstein blame game, talking about Bondi's recent hanging out with the oversight committee, and perhaps Todd Blanche taking over for or becoming the next official attorney general, and more connected stories. And then, if assuming we have time, which I think we will, we'll get in the Trump assassin Disinfo. There's been some new information dropping about Crooks, the would-be Trump assassin, and almost immediately Disinfo was seeded out, all which different ways. So we'll cover that. Should be a fun time. As you're popping in here, help a brother out, hit that like button. And a little housekeeping here, just to remind you guys what the show is. This is I call it like an info dump type show. This is a morning dump, so this is mostly just stuff I've bookmarked or thrown together that I haven't necessarily haven't usually gone through myself. So it's kind of like a dump. We're going through it together. We're processing all this information. I try to organize it in topics, and we get a prize of what's going on in the world together. Now, it's also a live stream. It's an interactive experience. Now, I know not everyone's here for the live chat or for the live experience. You're not always able to make it. I get it, whatever. Maybe you just prefer a different format. That's fine. But with that, I do put it out on all different formats, despite the fact this is intended to be a live experience and to accommodate the listening experiences of other people not here for the live chat. Then what I do is I timestamp it, and I keep the chat towards the end of each segment, so that way Whenever you start hearing chat talk, you could tell, oh, that's the end of the segment, and boom, you can just move on to the next segment. So just pop on to, so if you're a listener, if you're catching us on the playback or whatever, just go down to, as soon as you hear that chat, go down to the video/podcast description. Most platforms these days are hyperlinked. Should make it easy for you. It should be able to jump right on to the next thing, or fast forward if you got to do that. Now, if you are here for the live experience, I do like to remind you guys, I try to give everyone at least one good morning. After that, you got to catch my interest or catch my wallet. Wallet, obviously, being super chats. But with that, let's go ahead and get into it. To start off today, I know our icebreaker one is going to be about Hunter Biden, but there was also another interesting story out there in the world that took over social media. It became kind of like a little bit of a cultural touchstone, kind of touch back on talks of pro-life, pro-choice, these sorts of things. But there was recently a viral content creator of sorts who, I guess him and his wife decided to tell the world together that I think they initially announced, I don't know, I don't have all the details of this down pat, but I think they announced these separately, but essentially, being influencers, they brought the world along with them on their journey of pregnancy, et cetera, et cetera. And then, throughout this journey, they find out that, oh no, one of the whatever test you do whenever you go see the doctor is it looks like it has Down syndrome. And they decided as a result to have an abortion. And that's another thing they decided to take the world along with them for, which I think pro-life, pro-choice, I think pretty much all of us can agree. Keep that to your fucking self. I mean, a weird thing to share, regardless of if you do or if you don't. I don't know. I mean, I'm on the side of don't kill your kids, but either way, bizarre choice to share with the world. It's looking more and more like it's actually like a fake thing. I guess they've done similar things in the past. I guess there was this, they've done these like blurred the line of reality and fiction and kind of like what influencers are. I guess there was some sort of like fake story they made of him killing his dad and going on the run a while back or something like that. Ended up being fake as well. And there's a lot of signs that seem like this might be fake as well. You kind of to gin up interest in their, because this is kind of what they do. I guess they kind of put on stories, but it's kind of like blurs the line if it's really their life or not. So looks like everyone's being had. But throughout all of this, I managed to become viral in the process. Someone found a video of me at the arcade punching one of those punching things, and from there, it's gone viral. Here we go. Check it out. Mark Vestibule found this out in the wild. It says, "Found your body double." Nobody, that's me. Go ahead and check this out. So this is one of the probably top 3 clips I saw growing on social media. Is kind of like a response to essentially this Down syndrome situation of like aborting. You're like here's my response to anyone who would say they abort their Down syndrome kid. Check this shit out. So here you go. You see what a strong boy I am? So fucking strong. All right, obviously a big silly. And for the audio listeners, I'm sorry. I know that's not great content for you. You don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. It's a guy with Down syndrome with his shirt off punching one of those little like punching things at the arcade or whatever. Getting a pretty high score, being pretty hyped about it. Obviously that's not me, being silly. But anyways, we had to start out with a little bit of fun. But let's keep it moving. Let's get into Hunter Biden. What kind of got me, what hooked me into the story? I've seen this kind of happening on social media, but what really dragged me and what really got me was Hunter pulling on those old Tower Gang chords, those old Tower Gang strings, just ping, 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 just plucking on them, and it's like, oh, you got me. Apparently Hunter Biden responded. The actual Hunter Biden, there was a lot of thoughts that perhaps this was actually like a fake account for a minute, I think. Or maybe there's another one out there that they thought was fake or something. But either way, Hunter Biden has become pretty active on Twitter these days, following nobody, but he has almost 700,000 followers. It's Hunter Biden. It seems legit. I mean, he's been on like Candace Owens, and he seems to be doing this like reinventing of himself. But essentially, here's Toad. Here was my entrance into Hunter Biden reinserting himself into the public conversation. Here's Pouty Panda said Hunter Biden is proof that any man can be attractive to girls if he just shitpost on Twitter and then Toad quote tweeted and said, "I'm better proof of this." And then Hunter Biden responded, which isn't even really that great of a tweet, which is weird. And he's not even tagged in it, which makes it weirder. But I guess he's probably just searching his name. I also don't even think he responded to the original tweet, which is weird. It's odd that he chose Toad's quote tweet of this to respond to, but whatever, he did. He goes, "Agreed, Toad," which whatever isn't much. And obviously Tower Gang shenanigans ensued, that was the case anytime, one of us of the gang was responded by somebody prolific, especially somebody infamous like a Hunter Biden. I guess this is the theme here to some regard is like, oh no, I guess it's how do I say this? It's a somber moment for Tower Gang. If only Tower Gang were but still a thing today, we would have so much fucking content and a ridiculous amount of content. Although I do repurpose a lot of that stuff for the morning dump, but it's just not the same. But there was plenty of people in the chat here. Toad or in the replies, Toad replying. Obviously, everybody immediately jumps. Hunter, did you enjoy my Kanye ukulele cover? Which wink wink. Stick around for the outro today, guys. Top blob. So go on Tower Gang. This one's great. Made me miss Laney. Free crack if you go on Tower Gang with Toad. And then a picture of Toad with a white Dudes for Kamala Harris shirt on. So just amazing stuff to have. I told you the legend of Toad of the Tower Gang, with was this Palpatine and Anakin, the meme there. So great stuff. If there was Tower Gang, perhaps we could get Hunter Biden on the show. But is it really significant? I guess not to tear down a little bit, but I guess more just to comment on what's going on with this guy. It's kind of wild. This guy is crazy active on Twitter lately. He just posted 6 minutes ago. Is Hunter? I think he's legitimately doing it. I don't know if he's just really. I don't know what to make of this, but he's legitimately, I think, engaging. This is legitimately him. For example, here he is. It says Hunter Biden jester maxing or engagement mogging. This is not to be a fence sitter, but I think it's a little bit of both. And this is 6 minutes ago. I don't know what either of those things are. I'm just sharing my experience, strength, and hope. And that's to Rod Palmer, who's just some dude with like 3,000 followers, following 2,000 guys. Just some dude. I mean, not to shit on him or anything, but it's not like it's crazy. Hunter Biden's responding to these people. Here's another guy with 1,000 followers ish that Hunter's liking. Jeez, he says it's someone who did a lot of Hunter Biden stuff. It's not cool or interesting, and he probably got touched as a kid. Hunter said, "What an awful thing to say to someone. Well, it's not true in my case. It's true for so many. Comments like this make it difficult for people to yada yada yada." Okay, whatever. He's denying that daddy touched him. But anyways, just interesting stuff. Oh, he posted an hour ago. I didn't have that one ready to go. Let's see. What did he post an hour ago? I'm just curious. Here you go.
I've been reading all these comments and it's important. I think in anybody's recovery. I think in life. And that's gratitude. And I used to think that gratitude was about being grateful for your day. If it was a good day, if you woke up and the sun was out and if things were going well.
Okay, so some generic basic bitch like be grateful post. Okay, whatever. Let's keep moving. There was a couple funny ones I did want to highlight. Let me see. Man, he's doing so many replies. I also did want to just emphasize the degree to where he is engaging. I think it's genuinely him. I mean, I'm torn on this story, which, I mean, we'll tag this here in a minute. Let's see, where do we go? Oh, here we go. Here's the one I was looking for. I just thought this was funny. He's also a funny guy here. Like you see, here's Royce Lopez of Hippo Juice Film. What is his name? ROTC Radio. That's what I was looking for there. That's his podcast. Says, "Hey guys, Hunter Biden is still a meth head faggot." And then Hunter Biden replied, "You mean crackhead faggot? And all your gym pictures with your greased up muscles are really hot, Royce." So he's trolling, having fun. I'm here for it. I'm suspicious. I'm concerned. Now, not too crazy suspicious. I mean, I never got too into the weeds on the Hunter Biden files. And there's also lots of insinuations. There was some dark shit in there, but I don't know if any of that was ever really really shown to be too super legit. It's just one of those things I just kind of like wouldn't be surprised. So I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious. Continuing on, sorry, being slow. Here's a longer video. I think this more represents how he's trying to reinvent himself currently. I think it's worth seeing what he has to say. Let's see what Hunter has to say here. Let's check out this video. I know it's a little bit long, but I just find this interesting. This guy just jumped on the scene. I think it was about like end of May, so it's been only a couple weeks that he's been on Twitter. He's become active. He pretty much right off the jump, he became active. I think he came active, and I think his first post was actually like a promo for Candace Owens' show. And then he went on Candace Owens, and I haven't watched it yet. The clips I've seen does make it like very humanizes and very kind of definitely kind of took a shift here to where he was kind of seen as this enemy figure during the Trump year, or I guess not during the Trump years, but during the Biden, the end of the Biden administration, and well, during the whole Biden administration, I guess, especially near there at the end, near the campaign. And now he's becoming more of this, I don't know, friendly figure, it seems, to those who tend to see themselves as like dissident sort of right figures. So I just find this interesting. But I know it's a little bit longer, but I think it's worthwhile. Just this is how he's representing himself. I'm of two minds of this whole situation, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Hey, everybody. I just posted something about all the questions surrounding whether it's really me. Well, it really is me. I need my glasses. And what I want to tell everybody is this, is that the reason I'm doing this is because for 7 years, for a whole myriad of reasons.
By the way, I have this on 1.5, just so you guys know, if you're like, why is he talking so fast? He's talking kind of slow, actually.
I haven't been able to tell my story. Part of it had to do with the fact that it was really never about me. It was about power. It was about the presidency. And it wasn't my place to be even more of a distraction than obviously my addiction and troubles created for the administration or for anybody else. But now I don't have to take that into consideration. And I have a lot to say. And mostly, though, what I want to say is this, is that the one thing that I know I am qualified to talk about is addiction and recovery. There are 50 million Americans suffering today from an addiction. We all know someone, all of us, every single one of us that we love, or even ourselves, that has suffered from addiction. And I also know a lot about recovery. The ups and downs, the struggle of it, the beauty of it, the incredible promises that you can receive if you stay the course. And I want to just start a conversation. I want everybody to realize is that there are more things that connect us than divide us. And I know there's going to be a lot of haters, a lot of trolls, a lot of people saying really, really awful things, but I've heard it all before. It doesn't even faze me. I promise you. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know the amends that I need to make. I know the forgiveness that I need to seek. And if you want to have that conversation, then go ahead, be my guest. But the conversation I want to have is about how we connect, all of us.
See LTD complaining about the volume. Let me know if anybody else this is too quiet. It's a little bit on the quieter side, but I didn't think it was too quiet. If you guys can't hear it, let me know.
And that doesn't mean I am a saint or Buddha, and I'm just going to let bygones be bygones. But the fact of the matter is that I really believe that that we don't have to be this way. We don't have to be hateful and vengeful and so mean all the time. And what I found out here is exactly that. I tell my story with radical honesty. I don't think it's very radical, but it's honest. And the amount of love and support and from across the spectrum, whether it's from Republicans or Democrats or, I mean, who gives a damn about the political labels now, the partisan political labels? Other than this, is that if you want to talk to me, I'm obviously incredibly prolifically available. It's just me. I don't have a team doing this. It's just me. And I have a lot to plan. This isn't like a one-off and, in a couple of weeks I'll be gone. My hope is to start a Substack. I think that would be a really cool place in the community. I've written a couple books. I'm gonna I think release a book in the serial form over there, which I think would be really cool. I'm also going to provide content along the way where you can discuss chapters with me. You can ask me anything. I'll do Substack lives. I'll do all of these things, and I hope just to start a conversation, see where it goes. Sometimes I feel like you just put aside who the messenger is. If you come to this with the view that I kind of understand that you have about me based upon the reporting that's been done over the course of the last 7 years, but if you come with an open heart, I think we could actually achieve something special. So why am I here? I'm here because I believe in love. I really do. I believe in redemption. I've experienced what it takes to get back up. And it's hard, man, and it's impossible to do alone. So I want people to know that I see them, I hear them. Love you.
Awesome. Well, that's Hunter Biden in his own words. Talking about it seems like he's kind of made his new persona. I guess persona. I guess would be the wrong way to put it. That's a little bit a negative view, as if he's being not himself, but he's kind of coming on the scene, kind of talking about rehabilitation. Like that's his whole thing. He's also, if you can see in the background, there's art there, so he's kind of come on the scene. Kind of if you go through his Twitter account, it just doesn't take long to scroll through to get an idea of kind of the new way. I guess you could say he's remade himself in some regards, or from how the public, how he's trying to, the new perception he's trying to form at the very least. You can see there's lots of art. Kind of brings back vibes of like George Bush type stuff, but obviously Hunter Biden's not responsible for anything on the Bush sort of level. So it's a mix. I'm torn. I mean, I struggle to buy that this guy is not one of them, the quote unquote them. But I mean, he is the son of a politician. I mean, who is kind of, it's not that surprising that a son of a politician would utilize that to make money, with Burisma and some other things he's done. I mean, when it comes to some of the stuff that was supposedly in his laptop, I don't know. I'd be open to exploring that stuff further. I'm completely open to the idea that there's sinister stuff going on there, but for the most part, it seems like what do we really know about him is that he just did a lot of drugs. He was close to power. So obviously I don't think he's going to really ever have a hypercritical view of perhaps some of those players. He may be looking a little bit to some degree more partisan, maybe more normie, but I don't know. I mean, obviously you got to add to this whole dynamic, as I mentioned earlier. I do find it very, very suspicious or very weird that the way upon which he entered back into the scene was through Candace Owen, which weirdly enough she did with she's done with some other people in a weird way, like the I forget his first name. It's not the Weinstein guy. The why can't I think of his first name? The not the Weinstein brothers, but the one creeper, the one Hollywood one. I can't think of his name either. She had this. I think he had a whole series. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's innocent and hasn't done, but it was just a weird move, odd thing. This just feels weird. I mean, I'm very sketched out by Candace these days, anyways. But either way, I mean, who knows? I mean, Candace is a mixed bag. I don't really know what to make, but I find it weird him entering the scene in this way, kind of seems like a curated, this is what we, but anyway, just felt weird to me. But at the same time, I'm kind of all for this guy inserting himself. If he wants to start writing, getting in Substack, he wants to get involved with people. I mean, obviously there's concern that he could be trying to, essentially create an image, be, I guess, something akin to a controlled op or something. But hey, this is more information being clawed from him. And if people can find more details from him about the workings of him and his family, I do think, and I do think he's definitely been involved in crime or at least untoward things that he probably will always spin the truth on or straight up lie. But either way, I think him coming out in this way brings us closer to it. And I find it interesting. I've always found him to be an interesting character. I don't really know if it's easy to write him off as just a sinister character. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. Interested to see what you guys think of this. Now, maybe we'll cover. I have a feeling this will probably come back up as a segment again here in the future. It feels like this is planned, and we'll reattack this. But for now, I'm interested. I'm interested. What are you guys' thoughts? Also, with that, just know that if you want to interact with Hunter Biden, there's a pretty good chance he might respond. But with that, let's roll into the chat, say some good mornings, and then we will get into our foreign policy coverage of the day. Is it Weinstein that I'm even thinking of, or am I just, it's some Steen, the Hollywood producer guy, the one who did whatever. One of you guys will know what I'm talking about in the chat. Let's roll through, say some good mornings. Good morning, Marcus Packard. Good morning, Top 3, saying how's it hanging. Good morning, LTD. Good morning to you. Good morning, Fire Pixie. Dual wielding streams on Rumble and YouTube help boost up my numbers. Hell yeah. Geez, Tom says if you wouldn't abort your Down syndrome fetus, you're probably retarded. Jeez, okay, that's pretty hardcore. But if you show the world you're aborting it, you're fucking free, Gallup. Yeah, that is weird for sure. Who else we got? Good morning, Bobo, coming in hot with a singular tower. That's just high level masturbating is what you're doing there, Bobo. But I appreciate the engagement. Love you, brother. Who else we got? Tom says if any of the TG boys wouldn't come back for a Hunter episode, I hope they get AIDS. I would come back for a Hunter episode if we could just set together a Hunter episode. Obviously, I don't think that would happen. There's no way in fuck we get Hunter Biden on Tower Gang. But if there were, just let that be known. If somehow that's finagled, I am ready. I am on deck. I'm standing by. I'm ready to go. I am like whatever. We'll put water under the bridge for at least that episode, and then just back to whatever weird social situation we were before. So, but we'll forget anything ever happened. It'll be like we never missed a beat in Tower Gang if there's a Hunter Biden episode, and then we'll go right back to it after. But anyways, let's what else we got in here? Good morning to you as well, Bobo. Just popping here. Oh yeah, I forgot Bobo's got a kiddo. The kiddo baby is 9.5 pounds. Hell yeah, baby girl. Congrats once again. Hell yeah. Bobo says, I wish we had a No Way Jose meeting. Would show pics, but at the same time might be some fit. Well, like, that's what already every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, before and after the show, we're there over at Already Dead. That's what that is. That's the No Way Jose hangout spot. That's where we go before and after the show. I'll be honest, I'm usually there earlier than everybody for the Already Dead pre-show. I show up before Jacob and before Austin. But on the flip side, this isn't me shitting on them. It's a time difference thingy. So on the flip side, though, in the post show, I usually bounce way earlier, and they stick around for a lot longer. But I'm over on the eastern side, so it's late by the end of Already Dead, and it's still pretty early for those guys. So, but anyways, yeah, pop into that. Show us some pictures. But I get it. It might be late for you. Good morning, Cameron Neal. Says good morning. He had meth pipes. Can't smoke out of a meth pipe. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. He's saying it wasn't meth. It was crack. Bobo's out of here, reminding guys to hit the like button. Fire Pixie saying, "What about his laptop?" She's screaming at me. I agree. There was some weird shit in the laptop. How legit is some of the weirder? Because there were like, I don't even know what the specific claims were about, like the pedophilia stuff. I think wasn't the stuff with his with his niece? There was some weird. I think there was weird stuff with his niece, right? I mean, I'm all for it. If anyone knows some sort of expert, or if you guys want to tag me and stuff online with legit like stuff, if we want to like go through, if we want to do a segment, that's kind of what I was getting at. With I could see myself doing other segments later where we kind of get into the weeds of some of the accusations. Or some of the implications of the laptop, but I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I just know kind of what's become solidified in the zeitgeist. Good morning, Mr. Wokrike says crazy toe got a Hunter reply. Don't trust the guy at all, though. Yeah, it is a little crazy, although maybe not as crazy. He's been replying to a lot of small accounts, so... Good morning, hey, say, what now? Good morning. Good morning, aggressively agreeing, saying it's super easy to turn a page after you already make millions off the forced conscriptions of Eastern Europeans. Yep, yeah, you did have a lot to do with the whole Ukrainian stuff. A lot of people may have been a piece to that whole, all of that over there, so yeah. Cameron Neal says he can be sober and live his own life. I'm happy if that's the case. I just wonder what he's bugging us for. Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. Harvey, there you go. Fire Pixie, appreciate it. Harvey Weinstein. So it was Weinstein. I wasn't getting the last name wrong, but Eric and Brett are both Weinsteins, and then we have Harvey. But anyways, different people. I wasn't talking about those weird spooks. Although my theory is that, was it Eric, I think? Yeah, Eric. Eric's the weirdo. He's the one who's Peter Thiel's Jew. He is like literally his guy. He's his money manager, for those who aren't aware. I don't know if he's currently still is, but he was. And then you have Brett, who's the brother. And Brett, I always like to imagine that he's actually like, he's just a happy-go-lucky. He has no idea anything sinister going on. And he's actually the good guy. He's just he just is not. He's just not able to pick up the patterns that are that close to him. I just find something funny about that. And then obviously we have Harvey, who's just a creature of Hollywood. Probably not a great guy. Good morning, Elliot James. Good morning. Good morning. Carmar Neal says, I heard there were 3 laptops, but I'm not expert. Good morning, JC. Good morning, JC. Yeah, Tom3C says, both the brothers give me the creeps, the Weinstein brothers. I don't know what it is. Or was it Brett? I always mix up the two of them. But Brett, I get good vibes from. Eric, I don't. Like, Brett, I could totally buy that, like, his brother could be a complete op and he just would never know. And, like, he just is like, oh, cool, we have platforms to spread positive messages. Isn't that cool? And that's what Brett's doing. I could totally see that. Good morning, Farm Girl. Says Hunter Biden looks more palatable after Trump's kids are doing the same thing now, being in a bunch of company boards for money laundering. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, yeah, we've had tons of reporting of Trump and his family and the crazy amount of corruption going on over there. And yeah, so it's kind of like, oh, what, Hunter Biden got in on some Burisma stuff. It does seem kind of like small cakes. I mean, it's like especially if we get stuck in this like binary brain dial, if you are looking at the two, you're like, I mean, this kind of was the progressive. We had Hunter Biden and his laptop back in that campaign. And now we have the beginning of the Trump administration. We have the Epstein files. So it's like you compare the two to each other. It's like, yeah, there's some like minor insinuations, possibly. I don't really know enough, like I said, about the laptop. Maybe there's some sinister stuff going on over there. Whereas you could contrast that to the Epstein files. You're like, oh, okay, well, like there's a little pales a little bit in comparison. So yeah, it kind of I could see why Hunter's kind of getting the shine. It makes a little bit of sense if you look at it that way. That's smart. Good morning, Cuber. It says shout out Toad for the Hunter Biden shout out. Yes. Big shout out for the guy. All right, guys, let's get into some foreign policy coverage. Let's check in on the latest on that. Now, Trump did recently go on, what was this? This is, what is this? NBC News, I believe. Yeah, that's NBC, the peacock there at the bottom. Went on with Welker is her name. Hit a little bit of a storm off, which we'll show you here in a little bit. But he did at one point get press on his whole no new wars thing. So let's hear what he had to say about that.
What changed? Because
sorry, give me a second.
What changed? Because you insisted no new wars.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Why would I have built the strongest military in the world? I built our military. I inherited a terrible military. We had no equipment. We had nothing. I built a tremendous military. Biden gave a lot of it away, but it's still a relatively small portion compared to what I built.
But you said it over and over again, Mr.
Why would I
President?
build a military? Now, I didn't want to use this, but I'm doing you and everybody else a big favor. In the midst of the greatest stock market in history, in the midst of the most successful country, because as you know, in the last time we were a dead country, Kristen. I know you're a big liberal or a big progressive.
No, I'm just a journalist. What changed? Because
all right, let's re-examine that. Keep in mind, he said the promise of no new wars. No, but he's saying no, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. So check this out.
So when you say I promised, I didn't promise anything. I don't like these endless wars. This is not an endless war.
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruptions, and we will have prosperity and peace for all. I am the candidate of peace. I am peace.
So,
all right, well, let's get into this. Those old wars that supposedly aren't happening. Jumping in the beginning of today, we're going to be looking in on Lebanon. You'll see why this is where we're starting at here in a minute. Kind of beginning of a whole escapade of murder, all which ways back and forth. Brinksmanship from Israel and Iran, a little bit of back and forth. It starts off with Lebanon and Israel, and then it devolves into a little bit of Iran and Israel. We'll get into all that. Also, I do want to let you guys know for today's coverage of foreign policy, there's going to be a significant amount of stuff that we missed because literally, like, in the moments with the show, like, starting, there was ongoing back and forth. So, kind of starting in an awkward spot in the hostilities or maybe stopping. So forgive me if I'm not completely up to date, but a lot of shit happened. over the weekend, especially towards in the 12th hour of this weekend and up to literally like moments before the show. So there's back and forth going on between, I think, Iran and Israel still. So, but with that, let's go ahead and jump right into this. If Israel strikes Lebanese capital of Beirut in latest escalation, as always, yanking this stuff over from antiwar.com. This is from Jason Ditz. It says 20 Lebanese have been killed in the last 24 hours as Israel continues to its latest ceasefire deal with substantial escalation of military strikes on the country. Sunday's strikes included multiple Israeli strikes on the suburbs of the Lebanese capital city of Beirut. 2 apartment buildings were struck in the suburb of Dahiyah. Probably did not say that right. The strikes were carried out without any advance notice for civilians to evacuate. At least 2 people were killed in the attacks, and 20 others were wounded, according to the Lebanese health ministry. The wounded included at least 4 women and 4 children. Israeli officials claimed the attacks in the apartment blocks targeted terrorist headquarters, though it is as yet unclear if any of the casualties were actually in any way terrorists. The attacks were reportedly carried out in coordination with the U.S. Trump is reportedly unhappy with the strikes. Since Israel invaded Lebanon in March, Israeli strikes have killed 3,613 people and wounded 11,072 others. Hundreds of those slain have been killed since the initial ceasefire was agreed upon in April, as Israel has never actually stopped attacking. The Israel invasion has been a key topic in ongoing U.S.-Iran negotiations, with Iran insisting on an actual Lebanon ceasefire as part of the deal to end that war. Last week, President Trump claimed to have assurances from both Israel and Hezbollah that all shooting would stop. In addition to Israel claiming to have coordinated today's attacks on Beirut with the U.S., President Trump is now insisting that he'd like to see more strikes against Hezbollah and that he has ruled out linking the Lebanon ceasefire to the Iran deal. That's likely to greatly further complicate any deal with Iran, though President Trump has claimed such a deal was imminent for months now. Iran's negotiator has reportedly threatened retaliation against U.S. targets over the attacks in Lebanon, saying he believes the U.S. only understand the language of power. So Iran has had it with these Lebanon attacks, it seems. So, let's see how this further devolves. We got ceasefire on the brink of collapse as Iran responds to Israeli attacks on Beirut. So now we're getting Iranian response to these Beirut attacks. This is from Kyle Anzalone. Said President Trump said he will never mind. That's the update. We'll come back to that update here in a minute. Since it's after the fact. Iran fired missiles at Israel in response to the IDF bombing Beirut. The Islamic Republic of Iran has repeatedly stated that it will not tolerate violations of the ceasefire and aggressions against Lebanon. Tonight, the aggressors received their response. Mohsen Rezai, the military advisor to Iran's supreme leader, wrote on X, "The response is a warning to stop their evil. Any new action will be met with a more crushing response and heavier cost." He remarks shortly after the missiles hit Israel, President Donald Trump told Fox News, "What I would suggest to Iran, you've shot your missiles, that's enough. Get back to the table and make a deal." The head of Iran's negotiating team said that direct confrontation with the U.S. and Israel could happen if ceasefire violations continue. Iran's parliament speaker and lead negotiator Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said on Sunday that Iran will not only halt the path of negotiations, but we will also be in direct confrontation with the enemy. In a post on X, he pointed to U.S. and Israeli violations of truce as the reason for escalating the conflict. They are neither committed to a ceasefire nor believe in dialogue, and by demonstrating through the naval blockade and violation of agreements regarding Lebanon that they only understand the language of power, he wrote. The naval blockade against the Iranian nation and America's green light today to the Zionist regime turned American regime bases and assets in the region into legitimate targets. The hand of our armed forces is open, as always, the Post continued. The statement followed Israeli strikes in the Lebanese capital city. On Sunday, Israeli attacks on Beirut killed at least 2 people and injured 11. Iran previously threatened to respond to attacks on Beirut by attacking northern Israel. Over the weekend, the U.S. attacked Iran and seized one of its tankers in the Indian Ocean. Tehran responded by attacking Kuwait and Bahrain. Additionally, Iranian forces fired warning shots at American warships in the region. And the update here, it says President Trump said he will tell Netanyahu not to respond to the Iranian attack. Says, I'm going to call Bibi right now and tell him not to retaliate. Each of them had their fun. Israel had its strike, and Iran had its strike. We don't need another one, the president told Axios. Now, I think that might be end up being where we put our pin in our coverage for today, insofar as where things are at in Iran and back and forth. I mean, I have another piece for you guys in regards to it about other specific, but so far as like chronologically where things are left off, last thing we were left at was Netanyahu or Trump having told Netanyahu not to respond, that I'm going to call him and tell him not to retaliate, yada, yada, yada. And then also we saw within that same piece that he'd also asked Iran, like, hey, you had your piece. So essentially where we're at in this is Iran responded to Israel's attacking them. They fired missiles at Israel, and essentially like last week, like where we're at in this is that, missiles have been fired from Iran to Israel in response to attacks from Israel into Beirut, which is in Lebanon. That is where we're stopping, I believe, unless maybe the next piece we'll get a little bit into it. I don't believe so, but I guess a little bit of a spoiler for tomorrow's coverage. We would go more into all the tales of war. That it didn't stop there. But we'll just go ahead and say there have been other. I believe there's already been a couple other volleys. I'm not sure where we're at, but we'll cover that tomorrow. But yes, making Trump look incredibly weak once again to a ridiculous degree. Him. I believe there's either other statements out there, him going on and on about like how we run the show and yada yada, and then within like hours you have Israel once again flagrantly just disregarding what he said. So despite the fact he tells Iran, Israel cut it out, and we run the show, Israel does what the fuck we say. That does not end up being how this plays out. So a little bit of spoiler for tomorrow, but we'll get more into that tomorrow. We got Trump saying U.S. troops will remain in Middle East until deal with Iran is signed. Says Trump said he will not pull U.S. forces out of Middle East until Iran signs a deal to end the war. He claimed the American soldiers are not in danger. Okay. In an interview with NBC News released on Sunday, the president said he would not be removing U.S. troops from the region until completion. Iran has demanded that at least some U.S. troops leave the region as part of any peace agreement. The U.S. has at least 50,000 troops in the Middle East. Washington maintains a network of bases in the region in multiple countries. Trump deployed additional forces, including members of the 82nd Airborne, 3 aircraft carrier strike groups, and additional air defense systems. Trump claimed, I don't consider the U.S. soldiers to be in danger. However, 13 Americans have been killed and hundreds injured during the war. Iranian missiles and drones have pummeled U.S. bases in the region, leaving many in need of significant repairs before soldiers return. So this is obviously very concerning, considering recently there were reports that, essentially the line behind the scenes is that, as soon as to return to hostilities is a American service member dying, and it looks like they're almost asking for it, to be quite honest. So here we are. So it's looks like he's almost baiting something into happening. That way he can have some sort of minor justification and continue. Go, look, they killed one of ours. In the past week, Tehran has targeted the U.S. base in Kuwait multiple times in response to attacks in Iran. In the interview, Trump said that Iran and the U.S. nearly signed an agreement to end the war, but he rejected it, demanding stronger restrictions on Iran's nuclear weapon. The president said they've conceded the fact they will not have nuclear weapons. We had a clause in there that they will not develop nuclear weapons, and everyone was very happy with it except me. And I said, well, what happens if they not develop, but they go out and purchase, they acquire? I want to put the word if they buy, purchase, or acquire, he added. One resolved nuclear issue is the future of Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium. Tehran has offered to internally downblend its 60% uranium to fuel grade if Washington lifts sanctions. Trump is demanding that nuclear material be destroyed by the U.S. So if we make a deal that now we're friendly, we'll all go together. It'll be our equipment. We'll take it out and destroy it, whether it's on site or whether we take it off site, Trump said. And we will go with them or without them, but we won't have people shooting us, okay, Trump said. So, and with all this at the same time going on, Israel completely fucking everything up over the Middle East. seemingly bringing us back into hostilities. I mean, maybe this won't end up being the case, but it looks like it will. We've got this story coming out that apparently we have a report of Israel ramping up spying on top U.S. officials. I think we might actually end up expanding that a little bit later in the next couple days, maybe with another segment in the show. Looks like this may have some sort of connection to the Tulsi leaving the office. There's some guesswork there happening, I see. Department of War has raised the counterintelligence threat posed by Israel to its top level. The sources said that Tel Aviv wanted intelligence on Washington's plans for the war against Iran. New York Times and NBC News report speaking with multiple sources who said that the Defense Intelligence Agency raised the threat posed by Israel to the critical level. The Times reports that the targets of Israeli intelligence include Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff. Witkoff, along with Trump's son-in-law, is leading the negotiations with Iran. Officials told the Times that Tel Aviv is seeking insight into Trump's decision-making on the war with Iran. Trump has attempted to undermine negotiations with Iran to prolong the conflict after the U.S. and Iran agreed to a ceasefire in April that was intended to extend to Lebanon. Israel ramped up its war against its northern neighbor. Israeli attacks on Lebanon resulted in Iran refusing to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Israel is also attempting to surveil the DOW's policy chief, Eldridge A. Colby, and his top aide, Michael P. Domino. The White House said the reporting of the counterintelligence threat from Israel was false. This entire story is false and sourced to someone who doesn't have any knowledge of what's going on, the statement said. Israel also claimed the reporting is completely false. The Israeli statement added, Israel does not gather intelligence on American entities, let alone U.S. government officials. In the episode of the last weekend with Theo Vaughn, former CIA counter-intel officer John Kiriakou said that Israel has always spied on the U.S. Current and former U.S. intelligence officials told NBC News that while it's common for allies to spy on each other, the current espionage by Israel is far beyond what is expected. The interesting thing with Kiriakou, though, is actually not that he said that Israel has always spied on the U.S. It's that he actually said, furthermore, he said in that podcast, he said that not only does the U.S. or does Israel spy on the U.S., according to him, I've seen some people claim otherwise, that functionally they don't. Like, there's basically like an ironclad rule, like, you do not fucking spy on Israel, and that's like coming down from like top brass. So people are always give you this line of like, well, everybody spies on everybody. I mean, according to Kiriakou, which I will grant is a, I don't know, a suspicious source. If that's your only source, you should always be a little bit careful, I would say. No shade to Kiriakou. It's just once a Fed, always a Fed. Sorry, it just kind of is what it is. But anyways, yeah, that's the interesting part of that is that, you know, they're not even that we aren't spying on them, that they spy on us. Report comes as Congress is considering the 2027 NDAA, which includes a provision that will further integrate Israel into the U.S. military-industrial base. We also got polls saying only 12% of Americans believe the Iran war has benefited the nation, so it's not looking to be too popular. Following up further on Lebanon, we got the Lebanese city of Tyre ordered evacuated again as Israel strikes a hospital. So Israel has once again issued an order for all residents of the Lebanese city of Tyre to evacuate north of the Zerani River. Since Israel destroyed all the bridges leading there months ago, such evacuations would be virtually impossible for locals. Israel followed this order up with multiple attacks on Tyre. For the third time this month, one of the attacks was in the area around the Jabal Amel hospital, a strike that killed 4 and wounded 7 others, causing damage to the hospital. That wasn't the only strike on Tyre itself, with another attack elsewhere in the city killing 3 people, including a man and his 2 university student sons, and wounding 5 others. That attack targeted the city's Christian quarter. Jabal Amal Hospital has been badly damaged over the past week, with multiple Israeli strikes on the area, leaving scores wounded, including a large number of staff members working there. Israeli officials have repeatedly claimed the attacks on the hospital were targeting terror infrastructure. Other Israeli attacks were reported in the Nabatea district in the towns of Zefta, Abba, and Dawir. Those strikes killed at least 5 people and wounded 3 others, and the city of Nabatea has reported intense strikes throughout the day. Netanyahu issued a new video declaring the attacks on southern Lebanon would continue and claiming that Hezbollah was in retreat because of the ongoing attacks on Lebanese towns and cities. Then we also have 9 killed in Gaza over the past 24 hours. This was written yesterday, so this is only covering, I believe, Saturday. So one day over the weekend, 9 Palestinians in Gaza were killed. So in Khan Yunis, 5 people were killed and 17 injured when 2 missiles were fired at a police checkpoint. So, hey, once again, if anyone wants to remind Dave Rubin, yes, they are still bombing over in Gaza. You got some bombs right here. Israel claims its forces killed Hamas commander Sakr Abu Karim. Was that 4 times in a row that we've done a morning dump? There have been bombs, I think. So suck my dick, Dave Rubin. Tel Aviv says Karim was involved in the October 7, 2023 attack on southern Israel. 2 other Palestinians were killed when Israel shelled a residential area near Gaza City. Additionally, one 15-year-old Palestinian was killed when his fishing boat was targeted off the coast of central Gaza. Oh, yeah, great. I'm sure he was leading a naval armada against the forces of Israel, I'm sure. The attacks are the latest Israeli violations of the ceasefire agreement brokered by President Donald Trump. Since the truce was installed in October 2025, at least 961 Palestinians have been killed. Since October, so that's 8 months, over 900, almost 1,000 Palestinians. So the Gaza Ministry of Health has recorded nearly 73,000 Palestinians killed by Israel since the beginning of the onslaught, although the true death toll is significantly higher, as many of the dead remain buried in the rubble. In addition to violating the ceasefire with near daily attacks on Gaza, Israel is continuing to seize territory in the Palestinian territory. While the ceasefire agreement called for the gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Strip, Netanyahu says the IDF will continue to seize territory. So, yeah, the ceasefire called for the gradual withdrawal. They've done literally the exact opposite. We also have a tragedy over in the West Bank. We do tend to forget about over there sometimes, but here's a sad story from over there. Israeli soldiers kill 7-month-old Palestinian baby, then walks away. This is over at Middle East Eye. So Israeli soldiers killed a 7-month-old Palestinian baby in the occupied West Bank after opening fire on his family's car, despite the vehicle stopping when ordered. The baby boy, named Samfad Abu Hakal, was shot on Friday afternoon in the Tel Ramida area of Hebron while traveling with his parents, his 11-year-old brother, and his grandmother. He was taken to hospital in critical condition and later died. Friday was the day he turned 7 months old. His grandmother, Fariel Abu Hakal, told Reuters the family stopped when they saw Israeli military vehicles and soldiers ahead. She said they first thought the gunfire was warning shots. One bullet struck my grandson, traversed his face, and crossed his head, striking his mother's cheek where it lodged. The child's mother did not know that her son had died until Saturday morning. She kept asking about him repeatedly while at the hospital, but the family avoided telling her the truth due to her health condition and the potential shock she would experience, her grandmother added. Sam's father, Afad Abu Hakal, a lecturer at Bethlehem University, told Haaretz that a soldier had signaled for him to stop and that he complied. The soldier signaled for me to stop. I brought the car to a complete halt and raised my hands on the steering wheel. Immediately afterwards, they opened fire on the vehicle, he told Haaretz. The soldier was about 10 meters away from me. He saw my wife, and the children. The windows were not tinted. It was broad daylight, and everything was clear. You can't say he didn't see that it was a family. I stopped as I was instructed to, and they simply shot at the car. There was no clear checkpoint, just soldiers standing in the street. I stopped when I was asked to, and the shooting started. Here's a picture of the grandmother with the grandchild. In a shroud. You can see this little face poking through. Speaking at the funeral, the father said the soldier opened fire, then pulled back his unit, and then just walked away with a single word or a second thought. The car was completely stationary when he shot at us. It wasn't moving at all. A 7-month-old infant killed in cold blood. He didn't deserve this. He said, I demand and expect if there's any conscience, any law, any morality, the soldier who fired the shots will be held accountable for his actions. This case must not be closed without investigation and without accountability. At the very least, I do not intend to give up. Israeli army claimed the incident is under review. The UN said last month Israeli forces and settlers have killed more than 1,000 Palestinians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem since the Gaza genocide began in October 2023, including at least 240 children. Israeli soldiers rarely face punishment for violence against Palestinians. Israeli rights group Yesh Din says soldiers were indicted in less than 1% of 2,427 complaints of wrongdoing between 2016 and 2014. So unfortunately, I'm not much hopeful this father will see any sort of justice. Not that there is any to be had, but at the very least, we can share his story and hope this happens a whole lot less. But with that, let's roll in the chat, say some more good mornings, and then we'll get into the Epstein blame game. Good morning, Alien Big Cat. I think it's the first time seeing you in the chat. Good morning, good morning. What else we got? Righteous Gemstone says, BB shot Tulsi's husband with that cancer gun. Yeah, perhaps, yeah. Good morning, Carissa explains it all. Good morning, good day, Jose in chat. Good morning. Righteous Gemstone says, suck my dick, Dave Rubin, and June has a different ring to it. Sure does. I thought about it after I said it. I get it. Haha, he's gay. I totally forgot for a second. Good morning, Gatis. Good morning. All right. I think we're all caught up in the chat. Everyone, if you're popping in here, hit that like button, help a brother out. It's only like something like 10% of people hit that like button. It takes zero effort. Help a brother out. Help boost this up in the algo. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the Epstein blame game. Fitting as we're coming out of our foreign policy coverage. I just thought it was kind of fun. Here's Mandy Arthur, just a random Twitter account that just happened upon in the wild. It says, end up again almost 10,000 likes. Well, I guess a little bit over 9, maybe not almost 10. I'm rounding up here. But says, she says, hey, Grok, what did Epstein say Trump would do if he was cornered like a rat? Cornered like a rat in quotes. Very concise. Then here's what Grok had to say to it. It said, hey, Grok, it says, Epstein in 2018 iMessages per release files said Trump would bomb Iran as a diversion if cornered like a rat. He added Trump is psychotic, would take everyone down with him, and cornering a rat makes him dangerous / unpredictable. Well, we've attacked Iran, and yet the Epstein still persists. It seems to be getting to him. Now, this may not be strictly Epstein related, but here is Trump's crash out on Meet the Press with what's her name? This is Welker. I said Kristen Welker. I believe they were arguing about J6 stuff, but either way, I think this is not a very good look, and it does seem to be on theme for the overall topic for today, and at least representative of the stress that Trump is on and the status of his current administration.
Evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country.
Sir.
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But Mr. President,
you're one-sided, crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits, because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press, because you know what? A country can never be great with a dishonest
press. Listen, we traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
There's Trump crashing out.
I spoke with President.
So there's Trump crashing out, leaving Meet the Press upset that he gave her some pushback. Now I do think it was over some. I haven't looked into the specifics of what they were arguing about. I think it was something J6 related, so maybe it'd be something I'd actually sympathize with Trump on. But either way, I mean, it looked like she did push back on a few things here or there. Not a great look for him, I don't think. I've seen a lot of the Trumpers out here trying to run cover for this, act like it's a good look. I mean, I don't know. I think it looks kind of petty at the very least, even if she was being a bitch. But moving on to our Epstein coverage here, I think it was our last dump. We gave you an Epstein update, talked a little bit about some of this stuff. We talked about, I insinuated that we may end up doing a segment today, which we are, digging a little bit more into Pam Bondi and Blanche. Some of their talks to the politicians over there on Capitol Hill. Pam Bondi had gone to talk before the Oversight Committee, and it was a kind of a behind closed doors thing, and the transcript I don't believe had been out at that point yet, or at least we didn't cover it. We're sort of covering it now. Though I did play a clip of this guy, Congressman Robert Garcia, who after the fact implied that it seemed like Bondi was straight up shirking responsibility of the Epstein handling from her over to Blanche. Well, here's him on Twitter. He says the transcript of Pam Bondi's interview is now out. That day I said she continues to push all the investigation and the blame on acting AG Todd Blanche. Bondi said I was lying. Well, the transcript is out, and it's clear that Bondi placed all responsibility on Blanche. Oversight Dems quote tweet that says Bondi said Representative Garcia was lying about a response interview. Well, the transcript was out, and it wasn't Garcia who was lying. Who then the GOP then went and quote tweeted and says because Garcia was lying. She says former AG Bondi said Todd did an excellent job in my opinion and is doing an excellent job as our Attorney General. I'm not blaming anything on Todd. Maybe try reading the transcript before tweeting next time. You're like, okay, well, so here we go. We see even highlighted portions of the transcript where Representative Garcia is outside saying that I, quote, through Todd, I'm placing blame on Todd Blanche. That is 100% incorrect. Todd Blanche is one of the most highly ethical individuals I know, and I think he is making an incredible acting Attorney General. And he managed this investigation, and it was a Herculean task with very little error. Todd did an excellent job, in my opinion, is doing an excellent job as our Attorney General. I'm not blaming anything on Todd. Now, see how they're playing with words here. It's like a placing blame. So, technically, she's correct. I bet you if we go through this transcript, there's probably never a period in time where she technically says anything that would insinuate one would need blame. Essentially never saying anything wrong was done in regards to the Epstein handling. So if she's not admitting anything was wrong to be done, then obviously it follows that she's not blaming anyone for anything. So there's no blame being pushed around. But now if we're talking who handled this, if we're giving, maybe it would almost sound better if you said, if from her perspective, you say she's placing credit on Todd Blanche. So from her perspective, she's putting credit, not blame. So this is the lie here. Oh no, I am attributing this to him, that I delegated to him, but we're going to say, but it's not blame. He's ethical. He managed this well. He managed this investigation well. He had very little error. He did an excellent job. So that is the trick being played here. So they're like, oh, you would think if you saw this from outside looking in, you didn't really pay attention. If you assumed the GOP was lying, you go, oh, well, that's clearly they're lying. And Bondi never said anything like that it was Blanche truly handling this case. Well, that doesn't look to be the case. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and retweet this, the full transcript now in the interest of transparency. This is an info dump show. I have not read the whole transcript, but I'm retweeting it for you guys if you want to look into it on your own. If there's anything you feel like I got wrong today as a result, feel free to let me know. Be happy to cover it. But we will dig a little bit into it. At the very least, let's dig into the opening statement. To this question of blame, the blame game here. Let's go into the opening statement. This is right from the jump. There's a quote here. It says, I did not lead every aspect of this effort or conduct that document review myself. I delegated oversight over this process to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Well, let's read the full opening statement because already it's falling apart. This idea of, oh no, I didn't blame him. It says, good morning. Before we start today, I want to reiterate what I have said many times regarding the department's handling during my tenure as Attorney General of the luminous materials that are now commonly known as the Epstein files. I am proud of the department's record and commitment to transparency under my leadership. We demonstrated unprecedented commitment to transparency. The department's search for collection and review of the Epstein files, producing nearly 3 million pages of material, including thousands of videos and hundreds of thousands of images. See? Credit. These investigations span 4 administrations, dating back to the Bush administration, have gone on through the Obama administration. First Trump administration, the Biden administration. The only time federal prosecutors were permitted to launch investigations against Epstein and Maxwell was when President Trump occupied the White House. Only under Trump were 3 million Epstein-related documents released. This is an enormously complicated and labor-intensive process To the best of my knowledge, the department produced everything required under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, so they definitely didn't. Our diligent and good faith effort to collect materials ensured that all potentially responsive documents that could be reasonably located would see the light of day. All department components were directed to submit any potentially responsive records, resulting in a comprehensive review of millions of documents. As the head of a large department with broad responsibilities, I did not lead every aspect of this effort or conduct that document review myself. I delegated oversight over this process to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. The team of professionals reviewed all the materials that we collected and assured me the only materials that were withheld were either non-responsive, privileged, or duplicative. Although not required by the Act, the Department is giving Congress access to unredacted, duplicative materials in the reading room in an effort at maximum transparency. There were redaction errors, but since day one of this process, the Department is committed to accountability and transparency. Our stance has always been the Department stands ready to review any potential evidence of criminal activity related to Epstein's associates and would pursue appropriate investigative or prosecutorial action wherever the facts and law warrant. I would like to repeat what I shared before the House Judiciary Committee in February. I've spent my entire career fighting for victims, and I will continue to do so. I'm deeply sorry for what any victim has been through, especially as a result of that monster. If they have any information to share with law enforcement about anyone who's hurt them or abused them, the FBI is waiting to hear from them. Bottom line is justice and transparency in this matter have been delivered at the direction of President Trump and the administration. So within that, you get right from the jump. She's saying, I didn't handle this. I delegated to Blanche. So this obfuscating of like, oh, she didn't blame him. Like, okay, whatever. Yeah, maybe she didn't blame him. Maybe she gave him fucking credit. So that's almost kind of worse. And even more so to this point, here's Kyle Cheney. Says Todd Blanche's name appears 96 times in Pam Bondi's House interview about the Epstein files. Variations of telling the committee that he was in charge of the entire effort. So let's look through a few of these. So here's one, some question between her and one of the politicians over there. It says, thank you. I want to talk about the redactions that were in the files. What was the Department of Justice's redaction process for documents released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act? So here you go. She asked, what was your redaction process? I believe that is listed in one of Todd Blanche's memos, and he was in charge of the process and the entire release of the Epstein files. So once again, she's playing essentially it sounds like she's playing the Kash Patel card, but like in a less retarded way than Kash Patel played, where she's coming in here of like, I don't know nothing, I delegated everything, but she's doing it in a smarter way, whereas the way that Patel went about it was pretty fucking stupid. Anyways, let's continue on here. It says, as the head of a large department here's another excerpt from here. As the head of a large department with broad responsibilities, I did not lead every aspect of this effort nor conduct that document review myself. I delegated that oversight over this process to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. By the way, Acosta did the same thing too when he went. He played dumb and just is like, this is what my people did or whatever, just kind of this delegating trick that they're doing. Says a team of professionals reviewed all the materials that we collected, assured me the only materials that were withheld were either non-responsive, privileged, or duplicative. Here's another one, a little back and forth. Says the department was made aware of a mistake, how to respond. Bondi, by correcting that mistake as fast as we could. And again, what would that have been fallen to then Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche? She said yes. So once again, another example of, hey, this is his, not his shtick, not my shtick. We got Bondi does a full-throated endorsement of Blanche after members started accusing her of throwing him under the bus. So yeah, that's what we just read a minute ago. She also identifies Stanley Woodward as the person responsible for handling the initial 33,000-page release of materials in response to a congressional subpoena. So the question is, did anyone in this administration direct you to only release publicly available information in those 33,000 pages? As I said, Associate Attorney General Stanley Woodward handled that. It's another, not me. It says takeaways, says Blanche's name 96 times, Stanley Woodward's name 10 times. I don't recall 34 times. Declining to discuss conversations with Trump or with Trump before his second term began, pursuant to perimeters of voluntary interview. So nothing new there, but kind of same shtick all these other players are following. Let's read this piece from CNN. Obviously, it's CNN, so bear that bias in mind. But digging a little bit into what even happened here. Let me see. Yeah, let's get into this. It's over at CNN, written by, who is this? By Annie Grayer, MJ Lee, Paula Reed, and Marshall Cohen. So Todd Blanche, Trump's pick to lead the Justice Department, was responsible for overseeing the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, Pam Bondi said during a closed-door interview with lawmakers last month. According to a transcript of her interview with the House Oversight Committee released Thursday, Bondi sought to distance herself from how her department handled the Epstein files as the Trump administration continues to deal with the political fallout. He was in charge of the process and the entire release of the Epstein files, Bondi said when asked for her role in the department's compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. DOJ has released approximately 3 million files compelled by Congress, but Bondi was pushed to explain why another 3 million still have not been released. She argued they're not withholding any documents, that the remaining files are either duplicates or privileged materials, despite bipartisan criticism that Trump's Justice Department has withheld or over-redacted documents while accidentally sharing info about Epstein victims. To my knowledge, they've all been released. She also deferred to Kash Patel on whether the Bureau had turned over all relevant documents to the Justice Department. She came under heavy criticism after claiming in a television interview in 2025 the Epstein client list was sitting on her desk, only to later state that she was referring to the entire case file. That misstep later caused distrust to build. After repeated missteps and misstatements, the White House put Blanche in charge of handling the sensitive case. Trump is expected to formally nominate Blanche to be Attorney General, and the transcript is a reminder that Blanche was the point person for the Justice Department's widely criticized handling of files. Democrats have seized on Bondi's testimony to argue that Blanche now needs to testify to explain his work. Blanche is already expected to face a challenging confirmation process amid bipartisan concerns about his controversial settlement with the president, which gave him and his family and business protection from IRS audits and established a $1.8 billion fund for victims of weaponization. It's also a topic to be raised at his confirmation hearing. Two of the biggest controversies of Trump's second term, the Epstein matters and the anti-weaponization fund, both have Blanche's name attached to them. Appearing voluntarily last week, Bondi refused to disclose any conversations she had with Trump even before he was elected, citing privilege, while her attorney argued those questions were outside the scope of the terms for the interview. I'm not to discuss any conversations that I've had with the president on any matter, Bondi said. She was fired in early April. Last month, she began treatment with thyroid cancer. There was also key info Bondi said she didn't know, like the critical document where Epstein's 10 co-conspirators are listed, but with the majority are blacked out. I don't recall ever interviewing or ever reviewing this document, so I don't know who's in it, and that came from the FBI in New York, Bondi said, adding that Patel could address that. It took months for lawmakers to secure Bondi's testimony. She's subpoenaed on a bipartisan basis in March, which was complicated by her informal meeting with lawmakers that Democrats walked out of because she would not commit to testifying on her oath. She denies knowledge of Maxwell prison transfer. She said she had nothing to do with the controversial decision last year to transfer Epstein's co-conspirator, which that's fucking nuts that she would have nothing to do with it. Todd Blanche, her number 2 guy, was the one fucking running point on that. He was the one fucking interviewing her. I think if you go to the Epstein files, you can see the transcript, not even transcripts. I think you can listen to them, I think, if I recall correctly. But yeah, Todd Blanche went to go to the fucking prison camp and fucking interview her and yada, and she had nothing to do with any of this. I mean, I guess that's different, him meeting and the transfer, but you'd assume they'd be connected. It's an unusual move for someone. Okay. I read about it in the newspaper online after it happened. I had nothing to do with that, she said, repeating that such a decision would have been made by the Bureau of Prisons. Sure. So we're still supposed to believe that's not connected to the Trump administration. And I have a hard time believing Bondi wouldn't be in the mix in that. Although maybe she really was completely checked out and just letting Blanche run everything. CNN has previously reported on Maxwell receiving special perks since arriving at the Bryan, Texas prison camp, infuriating fellow inmates. The transfer, however, came just after Blanche conducted a 2-day interview. Okay, it was after. I didn't realize the transfer was after. I thought they were interviewing her in the new spot. So once again, what I was just talking about, this came after Blanche conducted a 2-day interview with Maxwell at a higher security Florida prison. Asked if it was related, Bondi responded, "I have no knowledge of that." So even more so, like, she doesn't even know if they were related. That's wild. Describing Maxwell as a monster, just like Jeffrey Epstein, Bondi unequivocally said she believes a felon should die in prison and not receive a presidential pardon. Trump has not ruled out offering Maxwell clemency. They've been heavily criticized for its redactions. DOJ has previously blamed the mistakes on the immense volume of the files and the speed with which it was reviewing them, and it vowed to correct any errors. Bondi made clear the redactions also fell under Blanche's peer review. He was in charge of the process, so we just talked about a minute ago. She was also asked whether she met with any victims. She said she didn't. So I spoke to one attorney. I cannot recall her name. She was a former prosecutor. So that's the extent of where she's dug into that. Epstein victims or advocates have told CNN they have not been successful in their efforts to get FaceTime with Bondi. In her interview with lawmakers, she sought to walk back a comment she made last year that ginned up speculation the DOJ would finally release Epstein's supposed client list. Bondi infamously said in February 25, just a few weeks into her tenure as Attorney General, that they were sitting on my desk right now to review. By July, the Justice Department public acknowledged there was no list, but the damage had been done. She says, if you listen to my entire interview, I was referring to the file, and I said it's sitting on my desk to review along with the JFK files, MLK files. I meant there were files to review. I had not reviewed them at the time, and I made that clear. Okay, here's some more on the prison guard. The prison guard, believed to be the last person who saw Epstein alive, pushed back against conspiracy theories surrounding his death, according to a transcript of an interview with lawmakers, which also was released Thursday. This is a chick who was like, they had found, she was like, I think literally like within an hour after his death, was like searching Epstein death or something before he'd even been notified dead. Anyways, while awaiting trial, Epstein killed himself in August 2019 at a federal facility in New York City. This happened only about 1 month after his arrest on sex trafficking charges. The guard, Tova Noel, was charged in 2019 with falsifying federal records about how closely she watched Epstein while he was in her facility. The criminal case was dropped as part of a deal where she admitted wrongdoing and did community service. The only connection I have to death to Mr. Epstein is that I happened to be mandated for overtime when he died. I didn't conspire to cause his death, she said, referring to unproven claims that Epstein was murdered in prison. Oh, yeah, she's also the same chick that had a whole bunch of weird amounts of money wired to her, like significant amounts around that period. We covered this forever ago. She told lawmakers she believes Epstein did, in fact, kill himself because he was the only one in the cell. Nobody else was in there. So, yeah. Don't worry, guys. He totally killed himself, says the chick who was looking up his death before it had even been announced and had received all sorts of weird amounts of money. There's other weird stuff to her story, but nothing to see here, nothing to see here. Well, I guess it's only fair we give old Todd Blanche the opportunity to respond. He had just recently, I thought he had gone to before the Oversight Committee. Apparently he went to House Appropriations Committee. So it wasn't really pointed at Epstein stuff. This is on the 2nd, I believe, on June 2nd, but it was he responded to a group, a whole smorgasbord of things, but not so much the Epstein stuff. That wasn't really the point, but he at one point did address it. So in fairness to Todd Blanche, here was his response to all the Epstein stuff.
Mr. Attorney General, would you like to respond to any of these allegations?
Well, look, I think that the idea that this Department of Justice does not stand up to victims and does not do everything we can, stand up for victims rather, do everything we can to prosecute anybody who harms our most vulnerable, ignores the facts. We will always protect victims. We have said from the beginning, anybody, whether it's their lawyer, whether it's a victim who wants to meet with the FBI or who has information, they don't have to come in. They can use their lawyers. They can use nonprofit groups. I've spoken to nonprofit groups. My leadership team has spoken to nonprofit groups and victims. When we released the Epstein files earlier this year, I spent the whole weekend on the phone with many of Epstein's victims' lawyers, and Director Patel has said the same thing. And so I will say again, if there is a lawyer or a victim who has information, please come forward. And it doesn't mean coming forward to a congressman's office. It means coming forward to the FBI. And if there's nervousness or if there's something that it's a difficult thing to do, we will work with you. That's what we do. That's what the FBI does. And that's what we've said for months and months, and it remains as true today as it was the first time we said.
I had no intention of asking about Epstein, but there were 3 allegations made of failure to fully redact victims' names. Have you done that?
So we were required by law to redact victims' names. We did not get to choose victims. So what the judge told us in New York was if somebody identified themselves as the victim, we had to redact that. And that's what we did. And
Has there been a failure to prosecute perpetrators?
Never. And if we learn of a bad guy that we can prosecute today, we will prosecute him today.
Has there been a failure to release all the files?
No. So we reviewed more than enough. We over-collected on purpose to make sure we could comply with the law. And so necessarily by over-collecting, some of the materials we collected were not responsive. They had nothing to do with the Epstein files or the Transparency Act.
Okay. Seeming keeping the company line. So, hey, hopefully he's telling the truth. Hopefully, although I am very much doubtful. For example, here's one example of why I am doubtful. Give me 1 second. Of course, StreamYard is being whack. 1 second. Here we go. Sorry, the audio gone down. But here's him on Stephen Miller's, or not Stephen Miller, but Stephen Miller's wife's podcast the other day in response to whether there was hidden cameras throughout his homes. So here he is.
Did you guys find all the videotapes from all of his hidden cameras that he had throughout his homes?
There's no evidence that he had hidden cameras throughout his homes. I mean, so just let me put a finer point on that. Does that mean he didn't have hidden cameras? No, I have no idea whether he did or not. We never collected any evidence. We got all of his devices. We searched all of his devices. There is no evidence of any hidden camera.
All right. Let's follow up on that real quick. All right, here we go. Here's EFTA. What is this? 00232084. Says this is a Palm Beach Police Department. It's case number 1-05-00368. This was in July 25th, 2006. Written up at 8:47. I don't know if that's military time, so it's either AM or PM. It says, as we, most likely AM, I assume they probably do a 24-hour thing for police reports. It says, as we entered onto the property, although it would say 0800, whatever, I'm getting off track. As we entered on the property, we encountered the house manager, Janusz Banasiak, who was in the guest portion of the house. The guest house section had open doors, no forced entry was made. I made contact with Banasiak, date of birth, redacted, FL driver's license, redacted, and informed him of the search warrant for the premises. The members of the police department entered the residence and announced we had a search warrant. A safety search was done, and members exited the home. I read the search warrant to Banasiak as manager Parkinson videotaped the search warrant execution. Several interior decorators were located on the property. I spoke with Mark Zeff of 515 West 20th Street in New York. Mr. Zeff stated he's the designer of Mr. Epstein's homes. He advised he was contacted in March of 2005 to do a complete overhaul on the house. He advised he was on the phone with Mr. Epstein when officers announced the search warrant. Mr. Epstein was then made aware of the search warrant. Mr. Zeff advised his contact with Epstein is strictly business, and he's never witnessed Epstein with any girls except for his assistants, redacted. I then interviewed Daniel Estes of Redacted in New York. Mr. Estes stated he had worked for Zeff for 7 years. He advised he personally worked for the New York and Palm Beach home for Mr. Epstein. He had previously met with Redacted Epstein's assistants in New York and in Florida. Estes stated they travel with Epstein everywhere he goes. I interviewed Redacted of Redacted, Jersey City, New Jersey. Redacted stated she just arrived from Scotland and has worked with Zeff for only 1 month. She stated she has never met Epstein and has not seen him. The interview was then concluded. I then spoke with Douglas Schotel of Redacted, doctor in New York City. Schotel stated he has been Epstein's architect for seven years. He further stated he deals with Epstein's assistants and speaks with Epstein on the phone. He stated he mainly speaks with Redacted, Epstein's main assistants, who travels with Epstein. Schotel stated he only has contact with Epstein when his services are needed. once again to the redactions. It's funny, we just saw Todd Blanche talk redactions. The fact that he has his assistant redacted is ridiculous. Like, that guy is clearly not a victim. Or whoever that is not a victim. That's ridiculous. Well, I guess maybe they were at some point, but you know what I mean. That definitely is something that should not be redacted. Approximately 10:30 a.m., I was informed that the videotaping was concluded. I entered the residence and located 2 covert hidden cameras. The first camera was a covert wall clock in the garage area. I traced the wire behind the clock and removed the RCA wire and unplugged the camera. The other covert camera was located within a desk clock inside Epstein's desk. I traced the wire behind the clock and unplugged the RCA wire. I could not locate another camera. I then began with a search of the residence for the specified evidence. Or the resident. My search consisted of the second floor. It kind of ends there. But anyways, the crux of the situation, the camera. They located the camera. I mean, we've also literally seen pictures. I don't have those ready for you right now. We've seen pictures of his estate where you can see fucking cameras. And then on top of that, there's also, I believe it was through the Epstein files, or maybe it was the Hamdallah leaks. I can't remember. Essentially, they were able to, essentially DropSite was able to ascertain that, what was it? Essentially, intel spooks from Israel actually outfitted Epstein's home with surveillance, like on behalf of Ehud Barak. So there you go, another one to all of this. And yet we have Todd Blanche saying otherwise. Doesn't really give a whole lot of warm and fuzzies. Despite that, apparently Trump says he's nominating Todd Blanche to serve as Attorney General. So we will be dealing with one of those ceremonies here soon, or not ceremonies, the bureaucratic procedures to try to get to see if they'll approve him here soon. So that'll be interesting. I have a feeling a lot of this stuff will be coming back up soon. And here is Todd Blanche himself responding to being chosen by Trump for this.
Obviously, I'm honored and humbled. That the president indicated he was going to nominate me today. I was with him last night at the dinner when he said that. I was confirmed a year ago to be the Deputy Attorney General. I still am the Deputy Attorney General. I will work with the senators. I have a good relationship with the Senate on both sides. I don't say no to phone calls. I'll meet with anybody that wants to meet with me. And I think the work that this department has been doing since President Trump took office, if you look at any stat across the board, it's much better. We're much safer. Our communities are better off. Drugs are coming off the streets, and that's what President Trump expects, and that's frankly what I think everybody in this country expects. So I'm looking forward to working with the senators and getting them the information they need through the confirmation process.
Well, hopefully we don't get this guy through, Todd Blanche. But I mean, does it really matter? I mean, at the end of the day, all these blame games seem to be distracting at the very least. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's substance to it. I mean, these guys do deserve shit for this. At the same time, meanwhile, as all the king's men are bickering about who's to blame for a decision made by the king, well, the king seems to be forgotten in this process. So as we finish off this segment, we're going to dig a little bit into some an RJ Morrow piece at Toxic Tiramisu, where he's put together some literature for us, digging a little bit into the lore of Donald Trump and some of his sinister past. The sources here, by the way, are One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 2 by Whitney Webb, and also Trump, The Greatest Show on Earth, The Deals, The Downfall, The Reinvention. It says Donald Trump purchased the Plaza Hotel in 1988 and used it to host parties where young women and girls were introduced to older, wealthy men with illegal drugs present, according to Andy Lucchese, who said he helped organize some of these events. Many of the girls were as young as 14. So let's dig a little bit into some of these excerpts. I retweeted it recently, so it's on my page over at Tower Gang Jose if you guys want to see the full bit here instead of just the highlighted portion we typically read. In the final 2 years of Donald's decade, he went on a buying binge. It was as if he looked ahead on a calendar, decided that January 1st, 1990 was the deadline. Anything he hadn't bought by then could never be his. In early 1988, he negotiated the purchase of the Plaza Hotel, the 81-year-old French Renaissance castle, an indisputable trophy that stands at the southeast corner of Central Park. cost his bank $409 million, and even Donald has since conceded that he overpaid at $500,000 a room. It was the most expensive hotel purchase in history, but Citibank gave him $16 million more than the purchase price, enough to pay the $4 million in closing costs and to finance part of the costly renovations begun immediately by the new plaza president, Ivana. So Ivana took over almost immediately. That's interesting. Let's check out the other bit here. It says, in 1988, Trump purchased the Plaza Hotel, once the site of sexual blackmail parties involving minors that had intimately involved Roy Cohn. Which, by the way, Trump actually has a habit of seemingly collecting paraphernalia for, I don't know how to say, blackmail paraphernalia, I guess would be the way to put it. Maybe paraphernalia is not even the right word. I guess locations. So, we have the Plaza Hotel. And then also what we have was Adnan Khashoggi. Always mix up Adnan, the drug dealer or the international man of mystery, and then the journalist. I know they're both Khashoggis and they're related, but I think it's Adnan is the dealer. But anyway, Adnan Khashoggi's yacht that also had been outfitted for blackmail purposes that was well known for these sorts of crazy parties. We covered that a while back. It was what was it, one of the Beatles' wives was even looking like she was some sort of hooker from parties there. It's interesting times. But anyways, Trump bought that yacht. Trump bought the Plaza Hotel, just noticing a pattern. Cohn was not only Trump's lawyer, so even furthermore, we have Roy Cohn, who is that was kind of his shtick, was these sorts of blackmail things. And so he bought the Plaza Hotel that was essentially being used for blackmail, sexual blackmail by people like Roy Cohn, who was one of his mentors, and then he went and bought it later. But anyways, Cohn was not only Trump's lawyer, but his mentor and friend, and the two men regularly partied together. Cohn's former switchboard operator, Christine Seymour, claimed that prior to Cohn's 1986 death, Trump called Cohn regularly up to 5 times a day. Cohn is also alleged to have aided the judicial career of Trump's sister, Marianne Trump Barry. After purchasing the Plaza Hotel, it would be reported and confirmed by then attendees that Trump used to host parties and suites at the Plaza Hotel when he owned it, where young women and girls were introduced to older, richer men, and illegal drugs and young women were passed around and used. Annie Lucchese, a male model who helped organize some of these Plaza Hotel parties for Trump, and that said the following when asked about the age of the women present: "A lot of girls, 14, look 24. That's as juicy as I can get. I never asked how old they were. I just partook. I did partake in activities that would be controversial too." So, and there's a whole lot more to that. That is actually some surface level sinister stuff when it comes to the Trump world. But with that, let's roll in the chat, say some more good mornings. No, we'll sit here. I'll debate throughout the course of the chat whether I want to do the last segment. I'm debating cutting it a little bit short, but I don't know. We'll see. Let's roll the chat, say some more good mornings. Good morning, Bartimax says, good morning, Dumpers. I'm on a train ride in Durango, Colorado right now. Might lose service in a minute, but be with you till then. Good to see you, Marnette. Good to have you here. I was missing you. Good morning, everybody. Who else we got in here? Cuber says, everyone at this level is part of the shtick. It's all fake and gay. 100%. Cuber says, if you can see cameras and pictures of the inside of the home, they're not really hidden. Yeah, good point. I mean, those ones aren't really hidden, but that was one of a few things. So, yeah, if you can see cameras, they're not really hidden. Yeah. I think if I recall correctly, they were like sort of hidden. Like they're like, if I don't know, from my recollection of the pictures where you can see them, they're like sort of hidden. Like if you're looking for them, you're like, holy shit, there's a camera right there, but it's basically hidden. Like, but anyways, good morning, Elliot James saying, I'm a big black guy. Well, I didn't know that about you, but that's cool. Hell yeah. Cuber says Trump was buying pussy when buying pussy was cool. Sure looks that way. All right, let's fuck it. Let's just knock out the last segment. I said I was up in the air about whether I was going to do the last one. Let's just do it. Then we can knock it out fairly quickly and get on out of here. To kind of start this off, I guess here's Shane Cashman. It says there's literally nothing weird about Thomas Matthew Crooks emailing a deputy from Butler, Pennsylvania before the assassination attempt. It's not weird that he practiced shooting at the same range Homeland Security used. It's not weird that the local police and Secret Service spotted Crooks with a rangefinder, photographed him, and texted about him for over an hour and still let him climb the roof with a rifle. It's not weird the Secret Service wasn't flying drones that day, but Crooks was. It's not weird that Butler was the first Trump rally of the year with Secret Service anti-sniper agents on the roof. It's not weird that Crooks' house looked like a sterile lab with no trash or silverware. It's not weird this body was cremated 10 days later before Congress could see it. This is like when people say the CIA was shadowing Oswald before he and he alone shot JFK. Well, Shane is right about a whole lot there, but there's one little bit that he got kind of wrong. That first sentence of all of this. It says, there's literally nothing weird about Thomas Matthew Crooks emailing a deputy from Butler, Pennsylvania before the assassination attempt. Well, where the fuck did that little piece of info come from? Well, just recently, Judicial Watch received some more documents because they've been continuing to, I believe they're working on some sort of lawsuit or something. And so they're getting occasional stuff from the federal government. And there were some recently released documents. We're probably going to go through some of them here in a few. And I guess one of them said something about emailing a deputy from Butler. Well, that was a little bit of a disinfo of sorts. You see here is Ken Silva says, as you can tell by her patch, the deputy pictured here is from Butler County, Ohio, not Pennsylvania. And this tweet is rapidly approaching 200,000 views, and it's totally made up crap. Now, what tweet is he referring to here? This is the tweet he's quote tweeting. This is David J. Harris Jr. He's host of The Pulse on Newsmax. He has a little bit over 800,000 followers. It's like a light-skinned black feller. You may have seen him before. He's kind of one of those guys you've probably seen show up one time on some... I'm trying to scroll through. You guys see a picture. I mean, he kind of one of those standard heads you might see on a panel on like CNN or CBS or something like that. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time finding it right now. For example, here we go right here. He's a show, though, but I've seen him on other stuff before. David J. Sayer. I don't know anything about him other than I've seen his face elsewhere, but he's over at Newsmax, and he decided to share this. He says, breaking! Newly released FBI records obtained by Judicial Watch reveal that Deputy Kinley Hoyle had 2 email exchanges with Thomas Matthew Crooks prior to the July 13th, 2024 assassination attempt on President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. The email's content remains heavily redacted, but the deputy confirmed the communications in post-incident reviews. This adds another layer of questions about pre-rally interactions between law enforcement and the shooter. Well, that's completely bullshit. As you can see right here, it even says, Judicial Watch records reveal a Butler County Sheriff's deputy exchanged emails with Crooks. The records do not name Kinley Hoyle. Hoyle was a corrections officer in Butler County, Ohio Sheriff's Office in 2024 before becoming a deputy in 2025. So she wasn't even a deputy at that time. She's a corrections officer. I guess that would mean she'd be more assigned to the jails. So her name wasn't even named. So it's not even. I don't even really know where we're getting this Kinley Hoyle thing. Anyways, let's check up the community notes here. Follow what link they provide here. Okay, here's the Judicial Watch. That's weird. It says page not found. I don't know why it's doing that though. Okay, it's weird. Well, that didn't work. A second, I gotta bring this back up. Well, the link is broken for the community notes for some reason. Let me try one more time. Make sure it wasn't just like some weird little thing. Still Shane, so not found. But either way, I've seen other things corroborate this. But yeah, there's nothing seemingly backing this up. Here's one example I've seen that's elsewhere. I guess people using this is a response. The Butler County Sheriff's Office to him on Facebook says, "Good afternoon. This is the Butler County Sheriff's Office located in Butler County, Ohio. In the story, you're using the wrong deputy pictured and the wrong agency. Can you please remove this? This tragic event occurred in Butler County, Pennsylvania, not Butler County, Ohio. So it's not even the right place." So I guess he did send emails to this place, but it was for a different place, which that in of its own is weird. It's weird that he's emailing someplace shortly before that's named the same as the place that ends up carrying this out at. weird, but it's also weird that we have somebody out here reporting someone specifically that had nothing to do with this. Furthermore, to the fact that's not being the case, here's Richard K. Jones, a Butler sheriff. This is from Butler County. He's a sheriff of Butler County, Ohio. It says earlier today, a completely false news story was circulated online that named County Deputy Kinley Hoyle of Ohio in connection with the tragic attempted assassination of President Donald Trump in Butler County, Pennsylvania. Irresponsible reporting like this is unacceptable and places officers at risk. We should expect and demand better from our news media, which isn't crazy. This is the literal sheriff. There's 65 likes on this. This is 2 days old. And the guy who started this old dumb bullshit off, what is this? David J. Harris, 12,000 over on Twitter. This has gone all over the place. So a lot of people are thinking this is the case, and this is how this disinfo spreads. So I figured I'd let you guys know this isn't legit. Makes you wonder what's with all of this. I mean, there's even more disinfo, though, in the midst of all this. Here's Tom Fitton in a back and forth. He's one of the head guys over there at Judicial Watch. Here's him in a back and forth between Kash Patel. Let's start with the where this all started, because this is ridiculous. Says this is a clickbait lie by Judicial Watch is now nothing more than the fake news media. Now the initial post is no longer available. So it says the unredacted documents are interviews of Thomas Crooks by college instructors, not cops, wherein those instructors reference to having emailed Thomas Crooks about coursework. They make no reference to contact between Thomas Crooks and any police department. Maybe if you spent more time on facts instead of clicks, you wouldn't be a laughingstock. And then that got community noted. It says the released FBI records obtained by Judicial Watch via FOIA are summaries of interviews with Butler County sheriff deputies, not college instructors, one of whom confirmed exchanging 2 emails with Crooks prior to the shooting. And then furthermore, then Kash Patel quote tweeted saying fact over clickbait. That also got community noted with the same exact community note. And then we have Tom Fitton that responded. Ultimately, he says that that Director Kash would promote this malicious, false, and juvenile FBI post is disturbing. Judicial Watch fairly interpreted heavily redacted documents produced by the FBI and DOJ after nearly 2 years of waiting and litigating to call me and Judicial Watch liars for doing so based on secret material which you have withheld from us and the court is beneath contempt. If you have unredacted documents to share with us in this lawsuit, we will happily review and update our analysis. In the meantime, as government officials, you have a responsibility to apologize to me, Judicial Watch, and our supporters, and to delete your tweets. And immediately release the other 75,000 pages on the Butler assassination that the FBI is still hiding. So they misrepresented the whole case and essentially making it sound like they said something they didn't. The original tweet was deleted by Judicial Watch. Moving on, let's back up a little bit and kind of take a bigger picture look at all of this. But I think the interest in here, the info is in the disinfo, as I said to Shane in my back and forth with him, because he said that's not weird either. After I sent him a response with Ken Silva's correction on the story, and I told him the info is in the disinfo, which I find this to be interesting that they seem to be really wanting to hone in on disinfo right now. But here's Brianna Morello says Judicial Watch received heavily redacted documents on Thomas Crooks. A SWAT officer found a gray remote device with an antenna in Thomas Crooks' right pocket. The device had numerous buttons. That's interesting. According to a July 17, 2024 FBI electronic communication, records show that the Butler County Sheriff's Office exchanged 2 emails with Thomas Crooks prior to the July 13th, 2024 assassination attempt on former Trump. So that's the one I think they got wrong, and later they updated. We can't tell what was said in those messages due to the redactions. The document describes those communications as unremarkable beyond regular. The first responder was interviewed by the FBI, and during the interview said she does not know that the shooter's body was removed from the roof. She was provided a body bag by Butler County FT14S and later provided this bag to an individual from the FBI or U.S. Secret Service. She does not recall which agency. I figure we scroll over these real quick so you get an idea. Just look at them. They complained a lot of these have a lot of redactions, so I figured we'd at least glance at it. Like, for example, like look at this one. Look at all the redactions on this. Fucking crazy. Imagine trying to parse through all this. So here's one. Okay, so here is, beyond that, I probably had a few emails back and forth with Thomas Crooks. Okay, regarding redacted and redacted. So this is where people are getting the email thing. Which, by the way, actually, no, I need to back up something. I actually realized I misunderstood something. So no, the actual emails were back and forth between Pennsylvania. I think I misstated earlier. I misunderstood it. I was thinking that they actually, through these, that they were saying there was some random email between him and some other entity, some other Butler County over in Ohio. No, this David Harris Jr. thing, for some reason, attributed this to this Deputy Kinley over here. For some reason, he got this from that. So I guess let's get back into this. Maybe we could see in this. Let's see if there's something that explains that. If we see like a Kinley Hoyle, see if there's any names in here. So I'm scrolling through here. Figured out, I'm not going to read the whole thing. Scroll through real quick. See if I say Kinley Hoyle or any other names in here, because there's a whole bunch of redactions. All we see is that beyond that, I probably had a few emails back and forth with Thomas Crooks regarding redacted. Not seeing any names. So I don't know where he gets the Kinley Hoyle thing from there. Somehow he does. So, but yes, it looks like, so he shared a picture of a deputy that isn't even from fucking Pennsylvania, it's from some other place, and was saying it was her. Meanwhile, it is someone, I believe, from Pennsylvania, Butler, but we don't know who. So, so they did email back for that. Is weird. So I misunderstood the situation, to be very clear. So yeah, interesting stuff. Moving on, here's Ken. It says we've now got the 5th batch of Thomas Crooks records. Thanks, Judicial Watch. And here's a juicy one. Unidentified subject in a gray shirt and fatigue pattern pants with a black camera bag was seen entering the AGR building around 5 p.m. It says this is the first I've heard of this. And that's Ken Silva, who literally wrote the book on it that I'm currently reading right now, The Trump Assassination Plots, What the Investigations Missed and Why It Matters by Ken Silva. So Ken saying he didn't notice this, so this is something to keep an eye on. They have not said before, but here says redacted, then noticed a man unsubbed to a Meridian Drive walking near the side near the AGR building. He was not seen with a firearm, but was holding on to what appears to be a black camera bag. Unsub to entered the AGR building. It was not seen again, which that's significant. For those unaware, the AGR building was, I believe, was on top of the AGR building or something is where he shot from. But essentially, it was this like sprawling complex of buildings that was essentially completely unsecured. Had been flagged by multiple people for needing to be secured. And was kind of like a perfect little spot for people to kind of pop in and out of. So seeing someone go in and out of here, disappear, not seen again, people really shouldn't have been going in and out of that building. So people going in and out of that building in the first place is a little bit suspicious. But it wasn't really being protected in any way either. So worthwhile. Continuing on. It says other interesting records includes one that were redacted because of ICE. It says why would ICE be involved in Thomas Crooks investigation? So if you look here, you can see in the top, see redacted. It says per FBI ICE, another one per FBI ICE. So it literally tells you the reason for the redactions is ICE. I have no idea what ICE could have to do with this. And then then the one obviously about Crooks emailing before the event. So more hopefully will come out of this. More will become clearer. But obviously, as we go through all of this, they're going to do their best to try to make it not clear. So try not to get too far afield with ridiculous info at any time because it can lead you astray. Just realized I did not have this up the entire time, so my bad, but whatever. Didn't play any videos or anything. I did want to show you guys let me see. I did want to show you guys the redactions on one of these. I guess they're not too bad. Let me see if I can find Brianna's real quick. She showed here you go. That's the only thing I tried to show you guys earlier was this. Here's one that's pretty redacted. So to give you an idea of the sort of redactions they're dealing with. I mean, hell, look at all these. Just crazy. So yeah, and that's even in that redacted one is the bit where we find out there were emails back and forth, and you still can't make out much from that email. But with that, guys, Keep your heads on a swivel. Don't fall for any disinfo. That's what this show's here for. That way we can dig through all this info, not be standing on false assumptions, and be standing on firm ground. But with that, guys, for those who like the show, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. What the fuck is going on? iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on... What the fuck is going on in my head? Oh, there we go. I totally forgot where I was. If you want to follow the show, you can find it on YouTube, Rumble, all the major podcatchers, Twitter as well. Twitter, that's at Tower Gang Jose. Everywhere else, it's the No Way Jose podcast. If you want to support the show in the best way you can, you do it with money over at patreon.com. There's No Way Jose 2020. QR code up in the top left-hand corner as well. And then also, if you want to support the show... Oh, I already said that. And the low level of $2, you can get access to early episodes. Try to do about 1 to 2 of those per week. Try to keep about 3 to 4 of them behind the paywall at any given time. Yeah, I know I slacked a little bit last week, but I have Austin coming on tonight. Then I have Wednesday. I have obviously I have a another Wolfson episode, and then Thursday I will be doing another Years of Lead episode, I believe. So making up for lost ground last week. Sorry. Also give you guys access to ad-free RSS feed. Give you guys access to Telegram, the pre-show, post-show, and video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show. Also give you guys, or give the highest level of my Patreon a big shout out as a big thank you for their support. My previous Coast and Tower Gang, at Learn Tote, also at Brigadiers, at ZVCK, at _ Vizil, Tim Tuttle, at John Klubel, a big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Texas, Mark for Kids, Free Lunch, Jack Murphy Fuel, Jacob Winograd, Biblical Anarchy Podcast, and Jack Black, or did I say Jack Black? John Black, that beautiful bastard, that beautiful long-haired, curly-headed fuck, beautiful bastard. With that, guys, I love you all. Be sure to do all the things. We'll see you in the next one. I do have a fun outro for you guys, and I just realized I also did forget to go through the chat one more time. So we'll go through the chat one more time, say some more hellos, see if there's anything I missed in there. Fire Pixie, I see I'm not showing anything, just your handsome face. Thank you. But yeah, whatever. It wasn't a visually dependent portion of the show. I fucked up, but oh well. It wasn't like I played a video and just stared at the screen, so that's cool. Good morning, 6Art, saying you need a screen share. Thank you. A little late on that. It's okay, though. It's okay. I know I'm not screen sharing. Thanks, LTD. Biblical Anarchy? Is the only big question mark? Yes, Biblical Anarchy. Go over to check out Jacob Winograd over at Biblical Anarchy. He's got a good podcast. That's his thing. Like ANCAP from a biblical perspective. He talks a lot about all that sort of nerdy stuff. Friend of the show. Love that guy. Yeah, I blame StreamYard. I mean, it was sort of StreamYard fault. If I didn't have to like take it up and down all the time because the audio keeps fucking up. Because like every now and then I have to I change these slides. I have to go essentially move. For example, I'll show you one right now. I'll do this right here. I'll share screen. Let's do this right here. I go to share screen, and then if I go to another one, I got to go share this tab instead. And then if it just actually fucked up right off the jump. I gotta bring it up first off. But let's say I move these around. Each one of these times I move it off different ones. There's like a good chance that I'm gonna be fucked, and then it's just gonna like cut off the audio. And so then I gotta go to the bottom, and then I gotta go take it out. I gotta exit. I gotta bring it back up. So with all that like finagling, it's pretty easy to accidentally fuck up and be like, oh, I don't even have the thing up. So. My bad. I'll work on it, but it is what it is. One of these days, we'll get this morning show to size to where we have a standby producer. We are not big enough to where I can have Jacob on standby at all times. I do not pay him enough for that. But one day we'll get there, and we will iron out all these audio issues when we have a nerd in the back taking care of it. But with that, though, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Enjoy this outro. I promised you guys a fun one. You guys better enjoy it. Hit the like button. I am risking it for the biscuit here, but we talked about Hunter Biden at the beginning. We talked about Tower Gang. We mentioned the lore of Toad. So it's been a while. We got to do NHH. But given YouTube, this is a risk. So help a brother out. Do the like. Do all the things. Do whatever. But enjoy this beautiful ukulele cover by a friend of the show, Toad. We'll see you guys in the next one, probably tomorrow around 11 a.m. Eastern, give or take. Subscribe, bell notification, all that. We'll see you. Love you all.
I'm stuck in a matrix with a box one nitrous. Yes, I am a cuck. I like when people fuck on my bitch. The shit that I post on Twitter telling me I don't stand that. My niggas can't see me in public. I'm driving on chrome Maybach. With all the money and fame, I still can't get my kids back. With all the money and fame, I still don't get to see my children. Niggas see my Twitter, but they don't see how I've been feeling. So I became a Nazi. Yeah, bitch, I'm the villain. Nigga, Heil Hitler. Nigga, Heil Hitler. They don't understand the things I say on Twitter. Nigga, Heil Hitler. They don't understand the things I say on Twitter. All my niggas Nazis. Nigga, Heil Hitler. Nigga, Heil Hitler. Nigga, Heil Hitler. All my niggas Nazis, nigga, Heil Hitler. She's got her hand in my pants, she's got that will in her hands, nigga, Heil Hitler. Nigga, Heil Hitler. Nigga, Heil Hitler. They don't understand the things I say on Twitter. Nigga, Heil Hitler. They don't understand the things I say on Twitter. All my niggas Nazis, nigga, Heil Hitler. Nigga, Heil Hitler.